over the years I've collected a handful of boomboxes and similar devices with small built-in CRT screens. There's just something about that look that appeals to me, the marriage of those two components in one unit. I just find it aesthetically interesting to look at. One thing that is slightly less interesting to look at though is the screen, because nowadays it just picks up static. Back when these things came out, they were there for picking up analog TV broadcasts, but those days are long gone. Now, of course, I could attach up a digital TV receiver to them, but I'm not really interested in watching television on these small screens, especially black and white ones. But I have thought of a use that they could be put to nowadays, which would make more sense, and that was to display a music visualizer, something that goes along with the music that's being played. I've featured visualizers quite a few times. The Atari Video Music is one, and we've had Jeff Minter's Virtual Light Machine in the new one, and there's perhaps some others as well. But I've got an interest in those. I thought it'd be nice just to combine those things together and actually put that screen to some use. So I've been on the lookout for a device that works like a modern day Atari Video Music, or something perhaps even more modern than that, that I could put on the back of one of these boomboxes. And I haven't quite found that yet. However, I have found something, and I'll show you what it does, because it's pretty close to what I wanted. So have a look at this, but bear in mind this video is going to feature flashing images. Okay, you've been warned. Right, here we go. And the device responsible for providing those visuals is this, the Vid Pix. Let me show you a little bit more about it. Okay, first question, where'd you get it from? The answer, as far as mine is concerned, was from the seller on Etsy in the US. Now, to get a pre-assembled one obviously costs more than the kit, and the kit does not look too complicated to assemble as long as you've done things like this before in the past, so that might be the way to go. If you want to know what the price of this is in your own local currency, I suggest you go and have a look on there, because, of course, post and packing's got to be different depending upon where you are in the world. Okay, so just a quick tour around the device. Well, first off, starting at the back, we've got the power input and the on-off switch. The power is provided by a USB Mini B, and when it's powered up, this LED lights up in multicolours through this little window on the top here. Also on the top, we've got two momentary push switches, one which cycles through the various different patterns and one which changes the colour of the current pattern. We also have an auto manual switch on the front here, and in the auto mode it will cycle through the various patterns automatically, and if you leave it in manual, of course, it's down to you to do that up here, or just leave it on the current one. On the left, we've got the sensitivity control, effectively a volume knob which will alter how much the input affects the on-screen display. And then these two aren't labelled up here, but I've seen the other configuration of this, which is a vertical one designed for going into a console of equipment, and those are labelled up the same as these two on that one. So I think you would provide a switch into here so you could adjust these remotely and not have to access a device here. Now on the right, we've got the inputs and outputs. All these three can be either inputs or outputs. They function as both, but generally you'd probably put your audio into the left hand side here, and then you might want to take the stereo out of this, or you could put your stereo into this and then take one of those out. It doesn't matter. As long as the audio gets into this thing, it will display on the screen, and it does that via this composite output on the right here. Right, now I'm going to plug this into my HDMI monitor. I'll show you how I go about doing that. First off, we need the audio source though, so I'm going to use this Walkman here, and I've got the 3.5mm output from there. I'm going to put that into the left-hand socket, which will normalise it across both channels and play it out over the stereo here. Of course, it's not going to be in stereo, but it doesn't matter for this demo. So the output from the stereo, I then send that off into this device here, which is a HDMI converter from the audio that I've just put in there and the video off to the HDMI at the back. So we need the video as well to go into there, so that's got its separate socket here, and then we also need to plug the power into the back like so and switch it on, and there we go. So it's all ready to go now. Okay, with no music playing through it at the moment, we're stuck at this static screen here. I'll just show you the different color options. You can just cycle through those like so. The device will cycle through them automatically as it plays through the various animations if you have it in auto mode. And then we've got the pattern, so we can go through the various different options here. A lot of these won't look like much until there's audio being played through here, but you can see here we're on to some 8-bit characters, which are in the wrong color scheme at the moment, most of them at least, so you can change that here. And then we get onto these, which are letters and numbers, and then more diamonds. These ones aren't showing very well at the moment, even with maximum volume and maximum sensitivity on this particular device. They don't show too well. I think I need something with a louder audio output. It works better with other devices. Now these ones are Christmas themed. These ones don't make too much sense to me. They don't seem to be too reactive to the music either. And then we're back to more familiar stuff with the diamonds, which are like the Atari video music system. So I'll go into the menus, press both buttons together. This will show you the different packs we've got here. Digital Diamonds 1 and 2. The 8-bit Nostalgia was the characters we saw. Character Assassinations with the letters and numbers. Dream Ranger is a good one, but that's the one that's got sensitivity that seems lower than the others, and I can't really demonstrate it very well with this device. Holidays are the ones that I wish you could switch off, but unfortunately you can't. And then all, of course, is everything. Now, you can just pick a particular pack. Say I only wanted to see those Christmas ones here, or the holiday ones. I'd pick that and then press the right hand button. And then we get a choice. Do we want it glitch mode on or off? Well, we've seen them without the glitch mode, so I'll turn the glitch mode on. And, well, not a lot's happening at the moment because there's no music coming through. So let's play some music. I'm not a big fan of the glitch mode. It's just something that people might like, but I'm not one of them. You can see here, well, it's a glitch. It messes up the image, but not in a way that I find entertaining. So let us just put it into the auto mode now. Go back here, and I'm just going to get it to play everything, and we're going to keep the glitch mode off. And you can see now we're cycling through the various different options. With the sensitivity, we can adjust how these are affected on the screen. So, for example, large characters and small characters, but turn some of these all the way up and then other ones look a little bit funny and vice versa, so it's quite difficult to get a sweet spot on this. But yeah, the diamonds are the ones that look the best. These letters and numbers are quite good as well, but that's basically it. That's everything it does. So you best just leave this thing in the auto mode. It'll cycle through the animations, the colours itself. Let me just give you a bit more of a demonstration. So if you're in the market for something that does what this does, well, it looks like this is it, but it isn't quite what I was looking for. I want something a little bit more advanced and elaborate than this. I appreciate the fact that this is not trying to do that. It's trying to emulate the Atari video music and maybe update things a little bit in a kind of 8-bit style, and it achieves that perfectly fine. But I think maybe I'd need something that was a little bit more 16-bit perhaps, or beyond, just something where the visuals were more advanced, a little bit more virtual light machine or milk drop, but perhaps not as far as those. Just something that was perhaps more organic. I mean, it doesn't have to be too elaborate for those small screens, but this seems to just be kind of on and off. I'd like something that was a little bit more flowing in a way. But, you know, this isn't trying to do that. This is trying to be like an 8-bit device, and it does that perfectly well. And I've got to say that there are a couple of other features that I would have liked on this. The thing is, this is a device for programmers. I'm not a programmer. If you're a programmer, you could do whatever you wanted with this. But I would have liked the option in those menus to switch off a couple of those packs, the ones I didn't like, the kind of holidays, the Christmas ones, the one with the 8-bit graphics stuff, which were a little bit too repetitive. I'd rather it just cycled through some of the other ones. And then also there was one of those that seemed like it needed the sensitivity higher than the others. So when it cycled onto that one, not a lot was happening. Just little things like that, which again, if you were some kind of programmer person, you could sort out. But as far as this particular device goes, I don't think it's going to ever achieve exactly what I wanted, because this was just part of it. This is the video music side of things. But in addition to this, my whole idea would have been that you have a Bluetooth receiver built into a device, which also has the video outputs on there in both composite, HDMI, and importantly RF, because a lot of these old devices just have an RF socket like the one I used. It doesn't have any composite input, and as a result I had to use a converter to get the composite to RF. I also had to use a Bluetooth receiver. I also split the audio out because the audio doesn't go through this. The audio went off to the box that then went into the TV. There was a lot of stuff. Let me just show you the image of what was going on off screen. So there's all that stuff there, and it would have been nice just to have a little device, perhaps even smaller than this, that you could just stick to the back of a boombox like that. That one wasn't a boombox, by the way, no handle on it, doesn't run off batteries, but it looks like one. Stick this to the back, plug that into the RF, charge it up, battery again would be a nice thing, and display the visuals on the device, so you can sort of carry it around, plonk it down somewhere, and you've got your visuals for your Bluetooth that's being received from your device. It also adds Bluetooth into things that couldn't normally have it, that might not have audio input, but it can send it in through the RF. So yeah, anyway, that was my ideal gadget, which does not exist, and no one will ever make, because there's a total audience of that for perhaps one people, which is me. That'll be people, that'll be person. There might be 3 or 4 of us, but honestly, it wouldn't be worth anyone's time or effort to put that thing together. So I think this is as close as I'm going to get. And I do like the fact that somebody's put this together, and it was fun to play around with it. And I'll put the links to it in the video description. And I better email this chap just in case he gets a load of orders in, because it tends to be when I show things, quite a few orders turn up, even if it's just 5 or 10 for some people. It's quite a lot for a one-person show sometimes. So anyway, there you go. That was the Vid Pix. Hope you've enjoyed having a look at this today. But if you know of another device that does something a little bit more elaborate than this, I'm not on about somebody saying, oh, you could do that with a Raspberry Pi. No, I can't, because I don't have the skills to put all that stuff together. If somebody else has done it with a Raspberry Pi, they'll sell it in a nice little box with all those features that I wanted. Yeah, point me in that direction and I'll buy it. I'm on the consumer electronics side of things, the programming side of things. That's other people, that's not me. So yeah, VidPix, a ready-made solution that'll work for people, or you can assemble it yourself and it'll achieve some of what I wanted. But yeah, perhaps if somebody can come up with something a little bit more elaborate, I'd be very interested. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.